Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name. We're going to be doing a deck guide on the new super secret tempo mage deck. I've been trying to brew up a secret mage deck, or should I say a tempo secret mage deck that works really well with ladder right now. Granted, how much, like, there's a mix of aggro and control on ladder right now, so it was really hard to make a deck that was actually performing well against both those kinds of classes, while yet kind of not being something you normally see on ladder. So what I came up with this particular deck list here, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how we do our deck guides, I kind of go over the deck, I explain why I have what I have in the deck. From there, and we'll talk about synergies if they happen to pop up, and a little bit about, like I said, the deck and the cards. But from there, we're going to head into some ranked games. We're going to play this on ladder. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to go over, what you should mulligan for, a lot of the good matchups, the bad matchups, and then walk you through the plays, why I do, and then why I do that, so you guys can learn, understand the deck, and then hopefully play it on your own and do fairly well. So with that, let's talk about the deck, see what we got going on here. So we got Mana Worm. Two of these guys, of course, this is kind of like always been the Mage's bread and butter early game. Dropping a Mana Worm on turn 1 always feels great. Granted, because if they can't deal with it, it's just going to get bigger and bigger for every spell you play. There's a lot of spells in the deck. It has exponential growth. It also has 3 HP, which is pretty hard to remove in the early game, especially if you're playing against like a rogue. They start off with, like, you start off with Mana Worm, they play Swashbuckler. You can easily kill that off, no big deal. Following is the Double Arcanologist. Of course, Double Arcanologist in a secret deck. We currently play 5 secrets, which we'll go over here in a second when we make it to them. But either or, always a keep in the opening hand. Fantastic card. Not as good as the old Mad Scientist, but still a really good card. It's the 2/3 stats on this for 2 mana plus draw a secret. This card is like insane. It's so good in Mage. So definitely 2 of those. Frostbolts has always been a staple. This falls under the same category as Fireball. You double Frostbolt, double Fireball has almost always been seen in every Mage decks besides the Quest Mage, which doesn't actually need to run them. But in this situation, of course, this sort of tempo burn Mage does run it. This is your early game removal. You don't really have to worry about using it. Like, you normally don't want to use it on like a 1/1s, but normally, 3/3s, 2/3s, 3/2s, these are always good Frostbolt targets. Valet, because we're running a large, not a large, but a good amount of secrets, this guy gets a lot of value, and basically he has a fireball built into him. But even if you don't get the value out of this guy, he's still a 2 mana 2/3. So if you're playing against, an aggro druid or some form of aggro deck, and he's your only 2-drop in your hand and you don't have any secrets, it's probably best to just throw this guy out there, which I'll probably mention in a game if we happen to go against an aggro deck. But regardless, really good card. He has a fireball built into himself. Primordial Glyph is a staple in every Mage deck. Almost regardless of what kind of Mage deck you're running. I don't think there's a single Mage deck that does not play this card. The ability to discover a spell and reduce its cost by 2 is insane. You're able to pick up 3 spells, which is the discover mechanic. So whether you're needing direct damage, AoE, value generation, card draw, this kind of allows you to pick what you need in that particular spot. Pyros, this is an interesting spot. You don't actually need Pyros in this deck, so I don't think this card is a staple. When I say a card is a staple, that means you need this card for the deck. It's very important. When I say a card is like, it's okay, it can be replaced, you don't have to really worry about it. I get that question a lot. Is, Rob, do I have to have this card? No. So Pyros is kind of one of those guys where if you throw him out on 2, and your hand is kind of lackluster, you're heading into turn 6, you really don't have anything. He's kind of just, he allows you to continue having basically a minion to play. Not always on curve, but at least in future turns. So, you play this on 2, he dies on 4, you have a turn on. You can already plan on playing him on 6 if your hand is that bad. And then from there, you have something on 10. A 10 mana 10/10, as bad as that normally is, because it's just so slow and it doesn't actually have an effect when it comes out. It could win you games if your hand is kind of that bad and he kind of boosts up, bad hands. But he's not needed. Sorcerer's Apprentice is your early game. Your spells get reduced by 1 is very powerful. Depending on what deck you're going against, it's almost best to sometimes mulligan this card away, because it's really weak to cards like Backstab and Jade Claws. But it's really good against, other mages because they have to use Frostbolt on it, priests, Shadow Word Pain, warriors because maybe they have to weapon it. But some classes it's good, some classes it's bad. But running 2 of these is pretty nice because the Arcane Intellect and Primordial Glyphs, and you can kind of cheese someone out if you end up throwing like 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice and a Mana Worm out there and they can't deal with it. You just get so much value. Double Arcane Intellect is your draw mechanic in the deck. We don't run Tome, so how do I go into this? Arcane Intellect is, we get to draw 2 cards, but if we need to draw more cards, we use Glyph to do that. And we don't need Tome in the deck because, again, Glyph does that. So it's kind of like if we push too far on the defensive side and value side of adding like tomes, like actual tomes in the deck becomes bogged down because let's say you draw 2 tomes or 1 tome, it's a dead card in your hand until turn 5. If you play it on turn 5, you're still not doing anything else but developing tomes. So that's more of a card that you'd want to put into like a value / control mage, not really a tempo mage. So Arcane Intellect kind of fits the spot that we need. It's very common, found in a lot of different mages, but I'm kind of just targeting why we have this over tome. There's a lot of people that are only running maybe 1 intellect, and that's just silly. You should always run 2. Counterspell. So Counterspell, there's a couple secrets that mages are running. Counterspell, Mirror Entity, Spellbender, and the Mana Bind. I personally like double Counterspell, double Mana Bind, and the Frozen Throne. We're actually going to talk about all the secrets at once now. The reason being that I like the Mana Bind a lot more than the Mirror Entity right now is the fact that aggro decks are really, really popular. With aggro decks being popular, a lot of the cards they're playing are really cheap. So we look at like Southsea Deckhand, Patches, Swashbuckler, stuff like that. And that's not really cards that we want to bring out with Mirror Entity. We don't want to spend 3 mana to summon a 1/1. It just sucks. A lot of people play around Mirror Entity very, very well. So if you play cards like Mana Bind, it really, like, they're like, okay, he just played a counterspell. This one's going to be our Mirror Entity. They play a cheap minion. They're like, what the hell? Okay, so it's another counterspell. And then they play, like, you know, an okay spell, and you get a Mana Bind. Or you get it from Mana Bind, and it's free. But more importantly, what makes Mana Bind in this particular deck really powerful is you've got cards like Archmage. So you'll find a lot of the time that when you Mana Bind, the card that they play may not be the most valuable card, but the fact that it costs 0 mana and you combo it with Archmage, granting you another fireball or 2, is a really, really big deal. Plus, if you play Druids and you're able to Mana Bind or Counterspell prior to their Ultimate Infestation. So normally you always want to Counterspell an Ultimate Infestation. But let's say you can't because you only want to play 2 Counterspells. Mana Bind acts as like another way that you're able to get basically nullifying the effects of Ultimate Infestation because your opponent plays it, and then you actually play a free one. Not only you're doing the same thing they did, but you're actually adding even more value on your turn because you can actually utilize the 5 cards that you just drew and actually kill the 5/5 that they just summoned. So really, really powerful Mana Bind in this particular meta. I originally hated this card, but it's growing on me. Frozen Clone. I really didn't know what to put in this final secret spot. 4 secrets was just not enough for me, and there's not really, if I could play a mere what is it called? An Effigy. I would rather play an Effigy instead of Frozen Clone, but that's in Wild. So this is kind of like the closest thing I could find to like a card that could generate a decent amount of value for us. Again, because we don't run tomes and we don't have a ton of card draw, we just have counterspells and the glyphs. So Frozen Throne or Clone is actually pretty nice. Even if you generate Patches, you still got 2 1/1 chargers that can do some work, but most of the time it's not as bad as what you think it is. I'm sure we'll get a value from this if we end up playing any sort of druid and or shaman. From there, we got the Kirin Mage because we have 5 secrets and double Arcanologist. It's always good to run this guy to be able to play your secrets for free. You know, the strongest kind of curve you can have in this deck is Mana Worm on 2, Arcanologist, or Mana Worm on 1, Arcanologist on 2, Kirin Mage into Secret on 4, into basically your Cabal Crystal runner and or like removal spell or more secrets. That's kind of like the God curve. We already covered Mana Bind, Fireball, again, staple in the deck. 4 mana, deal 6 damage, kill minions, kill monsters, go face. It does what it does. Cabal Crystal runner, I really wasn't a fan of this card for a long time. I would prefer to run the Avian Watcher, I believe it is. It's a 5 mana, if you have a secret, turn into a 4/7. And unfortunately, this meta is really fast right now, again, with the Rogue, the Shamans, and sometimes Aggro Druid, but a lot of Zoo, a lot of Rogue, a lot of Shamans. With that, playing it most of the time a 2 mana 5/5, even if it's a 4 mana 5/5, it's still pretty good. If they devolve it, you still get a 5 mana card out of it, so it's just really good in regards to tempo right now. Honestly, not my favorite card in the deck, but it's come in clutch, and it's definitely a good power play. Archmage, we've been over this. The reason we've got Mana Binds in the deck, we have a ton of spells. Archmage always fits well with that. If it sits on the board for longer than 1 or 2 turns, it's one of those things where you just win the game. Double Firelance Portal, very standard in most Mage decks. Deal 5 damage, summon a random 5-cost minion, very powerful, just a great card. And then we have Yogg-Saron. You could go ahead and run Medivh if you really like Medivh. I have Rob. Why don't you play Medivh in this deck? Well, if you look, there's only 2 7 mana spells in the deck. Besides that, it's 4 mana or less, meaning that Medivh is only going to pretty much be able to summon a 4s and 3 mana creatures, and it's really not worth it when you're Medivhing for only 4 mana spells. It's better when you have 6, 7, multiple 7, 6s, like in the Burn Mage, you have, Blizzards, Flame Strikes, Meteors, Tomes, and Pyroblast, stuff like that. Meanwhile, this deck caps out at Firelands Portal, so that's why there's no Medivh, and I've replaced him with Yogg Saron. But you're more than welcome to include whatever late game card. Yogg is not a staple in this deck. He's just kind of a card for an oh shit button, because this deck currently has no oh shit button. It's basically just tempo. Run out of tempo, you lose. But this guy allows you to maybe cheese out some games you weren't supposed to win. So with that, let's head into some ranked games so I can show you the deck firsthand and how powerful it really is. Alrighty, so heading into our first game here, we're going to be going against a Warlock. Holy moly, guys. I think I have only seen aggro decks today. I've played roughly 10 to 20 games today, and I have only seen aggro all day. It's been Rogue, Warlock, and Shaman. Not a Druid, Priest, and or another Mage in sight. So we may switch over to a more control-based deck and do a deck guide on that. This is ooh shit, it's handlock. Alright, never mind. I spoken it too soon it. The reason I did this is because we have Arcane Intellect on 3. Do I ever valet that just so we can't trade? Seems okay. Because he's going to get the heal eventually, right? So I might as well just take the card off so he doesn't have an easy clear with Defile or Mortal Coil. I guess he could Hellfire. What in tarnation? A Bride-Eyed Scout. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. I think I'm supposed to look like Frostbolt or Fireball or something like that. Potion of Polymorph. I think that's actually not a bad one. Now the question is, do I play the Secret and go face? But then if he trades here, it's kind of annoying. Or do I just go with the Glyph? I like the Potion of Polymorph, go face. Because if he, let's say he takes the value trade, we have a Glyph, and the Glyph can probably give us something that does 2 damage. If he tries to go with like a Mountain Giant here, he's gonna, or Twilight Drake, it's just gonna get wrecked. If he trades into the 4/3, that's fine. Does he still discard 2 cards? Nice. I was feeling like he was gonna play something pretty tricky there. Thought something tricky was gonna flop out. I don't think we ever attack the sheep. Not when he has 6 mana. We're not scared of Bone Mare. That was just like a bad zoo. Like, I don't know what the fuck that was. That was something. That was something, okay. That Potion of Polymorph on that Doom Guard, though. Like, I like, there's no way you Bright-Eyed and then not play something of worth there, right? Like, he has so many cards in his hand, and he tapped, like, 2 or 3 times. So, now we've placed, yeah, okay. When I was complaining that we didn't see any mages or anything like that, now we're gonna go against all the mages and all that shit. Okay, you got me, You heard me talking shit. Talk shit, get hit. Good. This is kind of bad. Well, we have 1 good card in our hand, so. Maybe this 1 good card can carry us. I don't like coining this card out, but it is what it is. We also have 3 of our 5 secrets in our hand already, of the deck. So we've drawn 6 cards, and 3 of them are secrets, which is over than 50% of the secrets in our deck. Very not so good start. Interesting play there. So we can attack and ping, and then he pings, or we can Frostbolt and leave this on the board. It's a very, very interesting play. I think I like this better. Forces him to ping on 3. And then R3 will be mana bind. And then he'll play... Well, it depends what he does here. If he pings... Okay. Alright, that's fine. So now we mana bind. We actually Sorcerer's Apprentice Mana Bind. We can actually... No. We can't Sorcerer's Apprentice Mana Bind. I'm fucking crazy. We're going to play the Mana Bind because I have a feeling he's going to Arcane Intellect. If he does an Arcane Intellect, he develops and Counterspell wouldn't trigger anyway. I'd rather play Counterspell when I have minions on the floor. Sorcerer's Apprentice Arcane Intellect. Ping. Ah. You dog, you. Is this ever... Nah. I don't like this play. It is what it is. I was thinking about pinging and not doing anything else, but that's way too slow. If we had 5 mana, I would Arcane Intellect ping. Excuse me, you are on... Just the valet? This is so good for us. He pinged it? Okay, so we always make that trade now. Or do we? Wow.
Excuse me, you are on...
This is really annoying for him. Because now he has to ping this, which means he only has 4 mana left over. So his best draw would be like a Kirin Tor into a Secret or something like that, plus ping. But if he just pings, that means he can't really play much else. Fireball? Frostbolt. Okay, that's fine. So now we got the Mana Bind out of the way. So now we just go Kirin Tor into Counterspell.
We have many secrets.
We also can draw last because I'm, you know, a great player. I don't think anything would have changed there. So now he Firelands Portals. Well, he doesn't Firelands Portal. He's probably going to play... I don't know. If he plays Firelands Portal, that's really ambitious. So, he like, going with the smaller spell first, then with the Mage. No Secret. Oh my god, what this is. So now we hit him with another counter spell, right? And then because we don't need to play... We could actually even go with the Mana Bind, too. Like, that's so rude. Whatever. This is so rude. I was thinking about just not mana binding, just go with the Pyros. But this is like... Because he's going to have to go Fireball. He's going to have to play some spell. And it's probably... He already played his double Frostbolt. So he's going to try to go with like... Oh, did he draw a Secret? If he drew a Secret, this is bad. So his hand consists of... Maybe he's playing the Giant version of this deck. Regardless, he's getting fucking pwned. I wonder what those 4 cards in his hand are. That was his best draw. Because now he can use the Firelands Portal that's in his hand. And we know that's a mirror entity. Okay. And he knows if we play this, it's a mirror entity. So do we just have lethal here? What is this? Fireball, Frostbolt, that's 9, 13, 17, 18. I'm 1 off. 1 off. Is there ever a world that we set up? Yeah, we always Fireball phase. Because then next turn we go Firelands Frostbolt. I want to know what those 4 cards in his hand were. Because there's a rendition of this that runs the Arcane Giants, and I just don't think they're good. Like... I mean, they're good, but just in this particular deck, you have to sit there, and if you draw them early, you get fucked. So, like, at least if you draw some early cards like Cabal, Crystal Runner, Archmage, you can play them when you have the mana. Meanwhile, the Giants, let's say you just, like, don't draw your spells, right? You can end up having to wait till turn 7 or much later to play a card that's only an 8/8 that doesn't actually have an ability. So, I mean, it's just... It's not bad, but I just think there's other things that may, in fact, be better in this particular meta. But then again, he might not have been playing the Mage. He could have just had Firelands, like double Firelands. Like, he might have even been playing the Bone Mare versions and just couldn't get a card to stick. Because if he runs double Bone Mare, he wouldn't, yeah, he had no chance to play them. I don't know, it's hard to say. Coin. Primal Fin. Yeah, so when you're playing against a shaman, and there's two things that they always... Okay, so for in this example, he coined Primal Fin. So whenever they coin on 1, it's always going to be Primal Fin. Unless they go Firefly. And most of the time, they don't coin Firefly, dude. They play the Firefly first, they think about it, and then they coin out the guy that he brings out. And if they do that, you can assume they have Flame Tongue Totem. In this situation, because he did this, he has no follow-up to play. He just wants to get minions on the board. So that's why he did this particular play. So now we're in a really sticky situation where we could go ahead and kill the Flame Tongue. We could kill this Primordial, or this Totem right here. Or we could just play the Arcanologist and trade into one of these, but then we're forced to ping, and then it's still going to generate more, dude. So it's like, kill this now and leave these on board, or summon this and play off curve. I think killing it now is probably the best option. Because I have a feeling this card is not going to live another turn. So if we just end up like trading and summoning this, he could get a healing totem. It goes to 2. Our ping doesn't kill it anymore, and then it's going to live an additional 2 turns. But if we can just kill it now, then like the threat is over. Even drew patches, fantastic. If he goes trade, is he really gonna trade all 3 into there? He should go face. Oh my, okay, there. Oh my, I thought he traded into our 2/3. I was about to freak out. But what incarnation are you doing, big boy? I'm actually gonna ping the pirate here. The best card you could play is Maelstrom Portal, because Maelstrom trade, and then hero power. Our hand consists of all fucking spells. Holy shit, Captain. Do not Maelstrom. Please don't Maelstrom. He's gonna Maelstrom. Yes, no Maelstrom. Our best draw is Fireball. No Fireball. He coined, so we know he doesn't have Doppelganger coin. So I'm thinking Glyph first. It's good. Do we kill the, yeah, I want to kill the totem, right? It's the totem of the sheep. Could be wrong. It's probably wrong. I just didn't want him putting a Flame Tongue, and then he can make double trade and then still have a 3/1 on board. But meanwhile, the totem's only a 2/2 with Flame Tongue. So I was kind of trying to play around Flame Tongue there the best I could. Oof. All right, let's draw a Fireball here. Let's draw a Fireball or something that can kill this. Here in Tor. All right, well, this gets played. We always play the counter spell. This hits. This hits. We can't kill the Mana Tide, so we have to kill that. Second biggest threat. So now he goes Doppelganger Evolve, hopefully. If not, he goes Jade Claws. If not, Jade Lightning. So we want him to Doppelganger Evolve. Now, do we really, though? Because then he can't actually... Okay, so if he Doppelganger Evolves, he can't actually kill anything I play. So we can kill all 3 Doppelgangers. We leave the Mana Tide alive, but, eh. That's scary. At least he's not doing anything else. We're taking a lot of damage. We're gonna be scared of Bloodlust. I have to kill Aya with Flyer Lance. Now our Fireball. Alright, let's get something good out of here. Perfect. Very good. Now he devolves. And then it gets counterspelled. So he might evolve first, or Jade Lightning. That'd be a waste. He might Bloodlust. Highly unlikely. There's devolve. It gets counterspelled. Okay. Curses. It is me, Margleton. Ah, Bloodlust 2. I see. Captain. Does he hit face for 7, or does he make trades? You should definitely make trades. Good boy. What? Interesting. Okay. Because we drew this, I think I'm going to go with the secrets now instead. Do we play Counterspell or Mana Bind? We go Counterspell. Or we could just play both. some reason I miscalculated. We could have played both. For some reason I was thinking I had to pick between the two. Counterspell always because of Doppelganger Evolve. If we Doppelganger Evolves and we have Mana Bind out, we copy Evolve. That doesn't do shit. We might see Evolve now. Jade Lightning, fine. Counterspell and Mana Bind? Or does it Counterspell first and Mana Bind doesn't trigger? Mana Bind still triggers. Cool. Perfect. So he's seen 2 counter spells, but well, I don't know if he's counting or not, so he may not be counting. So he still could think this is a counter spell if he's bad. But it's not like he's been playing around the counter spells anyway, so regardless, I think he would still Doppelganger Evolve. He could have Thrall in his hand though too, so let's try to wrap this up. Maelstrom. He's gonna be able to kill 2 minions. Was hoping for spell power, it gets Mana Bind. Holy shit, he went super fucking wide. I don't think I ever Yogg this, ever. I'm just playing for board. It's the most important thing here. I know I could set up some lethal opportunity, but he Doppelgangster evolves, and then Bloodlust we lose. It's not out of... That's happened so many times. Like, it only takes 1 or 2 top decks for them to bring it back. And their Maelstrom. There's Doppelganger. There's the Evolve. See, look at that. All it took was 1 top deck, and all of a sudden, look at this fucking board state. Like, this is a joke, right? And then you got Aya, too, which is going to summon another, I think, 4/4, a 3/3. So we would Fireball, trade, or do we just Yogg? I mean, we're really not in a position where we have to Yogg. And if we Yogg and it does bad things, then we're going to lose. So we really don't have to Yogg. I wonder what he does. His 3/1 goes into our 3/3. His 5/3 goes into our 5/5. And we Yogg this turn. Unless we draw a Firelands Portal. Now we Yogg. Do we ever attack first? Yeah. Don't be bad. This could be bad. Especially when it's hitting my face more than it's hitting the opponent. Not up. Oh my fucking god. Okay. I don't have any weapons. Oh, Yogg is dead. Yogg didn't die. Now Yogg is dead. Yogg's not dead. Oh shit, if I heal myself. Oh, Yogg just killed himself. Jesus. Now it's from top decks. And I don't have any spells. Besides... He top decked something good. Yep. And I did not. Wow. I could have played around Healing Totem there. Because if he attacks this, gets Healing Totem, I'm forced to attack and ping. We have 8. If he draws the Jade Lightning, Jade Claws. Trades. I lose. Yogg needed to be better than that. Yogg killed... Yogg really didn't do anything. Well, he killed my own shit. That's what he did. He Moongladed himself, which was fine. And then our explosive shot. If we let's say we would explosive shot his board, then the Circle of Healing would have left us with a 5/1. So, yeah, that'll be our 1 loss in the deck guide. So let's just win the next one. So right now we're 2-1, I think. Sucks that we lost that against that shaman. Like I said, all it took was one top deck for him to make a comeback. The doppelganger evolves, wins games. And then it was merit. Maybe I should have yogged when he had that Aya board. But the thing is, if I yogg there and it doesn't work out, then I just lose on the spot. But if we can play around, like the point is, you want to play yogg when you have no chance of winning. You play yogg as, I'm going to lose this game right now. In all situations, I'm play yogg. But if you play yogg when you still have a way to clear the board, and yogg doesn't do what he was supposed to do, then you just missed out on your chance of just playing him later, when you really didn't have anything to do. Does that make sense? So there's like a right and a wrong time to play yogg. This is a really bad hand against a Jade Druid, which is what this guy is. Really. Seriously, this is, so he... Do I coin? I don't think I coin into Frozen Clone. I think I'd rather draw, but at the same time, I don't even want to. I'd rather draw. Oh, Mana Worm Frostbolt is a potential play. But we're actually going to want to counterspell. Oh, he could go into Jade Behemoth, so I'd want to clone. But if he doesn't go into Behemoth, then I want to... This is hard. It's either play around Behemoth or play around Nourish. Rather play around Nourish. He top decked Jade Idol. Counterspelled the Jade Idol. Now he plays the Nourish. That's awesome. That he top decked the only card in his deck that he could have played to stop the secret I just played. That's some good shit right there, fam. That's some good shit right there. Alright, so if we play Mana Bind, it's not going to do anything. So I'd rather play the Frozen Clone. Unless he runs Innervate. I don't think he does. He could play Medivh right here. Wrath. It's fine. Glad I didn't Mana Bind. Behemoth. It's fine. Okay, so we always Mana Bind. Kirin Tor, Mana Bind, 2-drop. Hit that.
We have many secrets.
Mana Bind. Hit that. Play her. Alright, so maybe he plays around it, this being a counterspell. Maybe he doesn't. That Jade Idol draw was fucking insane. Drake. Okay. This means, wow, that was such a good play, because now if we ping this, we can't play the Behemoth. If we play the Behemoth, then, ugh. What a bad predicament we're in. What does Fireball do? Nothing really. Yeah, I guess it's better than the Do I Fireball that? Probably. Ultimate Infestation. Ah, this is why I was thinking about the Mirror Entity. That's why I was thinking about it. You saw me thinking. So I Firelands Portal the Aya, right? Is he really just waiting for a secret? I'm not a secret. He's just waiting for a spell. That's not. Yeah. So I'm just gonna play next turn. I have to play another Mana Bind. This is great though. So I'm gonna be able to Spreading Plague. Yeah. So let's Spreading Plague. Oh no. I have to play Mana Bind. Pinging this 2/1. Because if he attacks into one of these 1/5s, it's good. Please don't have another spell. Okay. This is an Ultimate Infestation. I know it is. And he's just casually just playing around every secret. Which I think is the right thing to do. But it's just so funny to know that he like he's doing his best to just make sure he does, like, I get no value from that shit. It's gonna cost him though. Great, this is great. Oh yeah, it's spectacular, big boy.
For Dalaran.
Now, who's the real Jade player right now? You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna play another secret next turn. I know this is an ultimate effect. I know it is 100 per fucking cent, guys. I just want him to fucking play it.
You require my assistance. I concede.
No, he never played it. All right, so this is why, in my opinion, this deck is really, really powerful against Druid right now, is because if you ever mana bind or counterspell an Ultimate Infestation, which you can quite easily because you know exactly when they're going to play it, when they have 10 mana, which they have by turn like 6 or 7, and by then you should have a mana bind or a counterspell, so they'll always keep playing around it, and if they do like this game, you just eventually will draw into your secrets, or your board is so big that when they do Ultimate Infestation, you're able to win the following turn thereafter. But also that this was with a very slow hand. We didn't start off with a Mana Worm Arcanologist or Valet or Kirin Tor. We started with our first minion, I think, on turn. We played the Mana Worm on 4 with a secret. That was our power play, was turn 4. So that's really like not where this deck gets its powerhouse, and especially against Druid. So I think overall, like, this is a deck that you're gonna want to target versus more of the slower decks, like I mentioned, the Druid, the Priest, and things of that nature. So with that, hopefully you've enjoyed. It's an interesting deck list. I'm sure it can be modified even more depending on what rank you're seeing and what the the decks you're playing. Because let's say you're playing against a lot of aggro decks, Frozen Clone is probably not the best thing you want in the deck. You maybe want to add like a small removal, like maybe 1 Volcanic Potion just to have like an oh shit button, or things like that. I don't know. It's kind of up to you. But overall, really fun, really cool deck, and definitely make a lot of Druid players upset, which is always a great thing. So with that, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Of course, I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell